Tonight, our main speaker is Greg. Help me welcome Greg to the stage. Okay, we got it.
Hey, Ryan, thanks, man. Thank you so much. My name's Greg. I'm an alcoholic. Is this thing on? No, I'm just kidding. Use my own ammo against me. I'd like to thank Kirk for asking me to come out, share my experience, strength, and hope. I'd like to also thank Tim for a real good 10-minute pitch, man. You can carry the message in 10 minutes despite what your head is telling you. I'm getting all my stuff here. So I finished at 8:15, right? Or something like that. Okay, there's this thing called a watch. So I'm going to put that up here. All right. Wow, man, there's so much to talk about. But there's so little time. The reason that Tim and I are dressed in coat and tie, which is not done very much out here, is because of, well, it's because his sponsor and we were raised with the old timers used to tell us, when you go up and you speak at a meeting, you wear a coat and tie to share respect for the program that's saving your life. And I take that real seriously. You know, do I want to be in a coat and tie right now? Not so much. You know, people that know me, as you guys know me, I'm a shorts and t-shirt guy. I want to do a shout out for all the boys from New Freedom. For all you guys, if you're looking for some winners, man, there's a lot of winners in this room. I know a lot of you, and I'm so glad that you're here. I do have a fond place in my heart for the New Freedom boys because, you know what, they're staying sober. It's a big deal. I'm supposed to tell you what it was like in a general way, what happened, and what it's like now. I'll tell you my sobriety date is January 10th, 1989. I've never relapsed or any of that stuff because when I came in here, I was done. So, gosh, what it was like was basically I was born and raised in California, in Los Angeles. Just there this weekend, as a matter of fact. And I got sober there, spent 28 of my years as a sober man out there. Got a great foundation from some amazing people. And I've seen some amazing people speak. You know, Dr. Alcoholic Addict, you know that story? You know? No? Dr. Paul? Huh? Max, his wife? Met the guy a few times. Good guy. Just another drunk, man. We're all privates in this army, by the way. There's no generals or, any of that stuff. I got a question, though. I got a couple questions for you guys. How many people are in treatment right now? Raise your hand. Okay. How many people are in your first year? Jesus. Wonderful. Wonderful, man. That you've got a shot at, the most amazing life. Just what Tim said, if you've been coming to these meetings for a little while, you hear how these people have this, their life was miserable, and they get into this deal, and then they don't do it the way it should be done. They don't follow any direction, or their life continues as, miserable. And then when they start doing the program and working it and taking these steps into their lives in earnest, their lives unaccountably transform. It's a common theme. So either all these people are lying to us or they're telling the truth, I think they're telling the truth because that's my experience. I got an older brother who got sober in '82. I have a younger brother that finally came into this program, and his drug and alcohol addiction took him from us 12 years ago. That was a tough day, losing my little brother. I just love him dearly. I was 12-stepping some guy. And he died too, as a matter of fact. Art lost his brother Ben. And, to sit there and go home, think you're going home, and then it's like you actually have to go look at your brother's corpse. That's life, man, and that's what happens. But, all I can tell you about what it was like, I could tell you a lot about my background, and I'd love to maybe in person, but I want to talk about recovery because my last DUI, I had a ton of DUIs. My last DUI, the judge, I found out the day of my sentencing that I had a .39 blood alcohol level, And they was like, well, he's supposed to be comatose, Your Honor, and stuff like that. And so I did that, and I'd been drunker than that too. That's scary. I shouldn't even be here. But I remember when I used to come to meetings, early in my recovery, because my brother was pointing out these 12 steps to me in 1982. I could have used it then, but I never bothered with this damn program. I wanted nothing to do with it. Just sign my court card and I'll just get the hell out of here. Thank you very much. But my life just kept getting progressively worse and worse and worse. And then when I got sober, I'd listen to these guys talk, these old fools like this old fool talk from the podium, and they would talk about what it was like, and what it was like. And then the last 5 minutes or so, then I worked these 12 steps and everything's wonderful. Yay, thank you very much, And I was just like, okay, there's that part and then there's this part. What happened here? What about these 12 steps? What do I do with them? I mean, I don't know about any of you, but did you ever think, I know why I'm here. Did you ever think about that? Why are you in a meeting of Alcoholics Anonymous? Why are you going to an NA meeting, a CA meeting, an FA meeting? I don't care what it is. Why are you here? Is it because to get the heat off? Because that way, and I get that. I get all those reasons. I came into these rooms through a bad series of bad breaks and misfortunes myself. But I never tried this program until I was rendered desperate enough, and even when I was a kid, I remember the first time I drank. The first time I drank, it was in 6th grade, and I remember the thing that's weird about it is that I was looking to feel different than I did. What's all that about? I wasn't satisfied with the way I was feeling. My brother was the first guy that smoked pot with me, and it was like 100 years ago. It was really weak, but I was just like smoking and going, and I was pissed because nothing happened. That's not normal, Houston. We may have a problem here, So, and every time, I didn't like the way I was feeling, and restless, and just looking at other people, I always felt, as many, I think, young people do with the peer pressure, feeling apart from my peers. I'm not quite as good as them, and all these different things that in my experience, I believe most young people have that. That's just part of growing up. But it's what I did with it that was the problem. Rather than maybe working through some of these things, I drank at them. I got loaded at them. I never thought about dealing with life as it presented itself. Rather, like the book talks about it all the time, about running from pain and problems. I fled from them as from a plague. I go to the print a lot because what I found in my recovery is, see, I'm an alcoholic with alcoholism. And I'll talk about that a little more, but the answers to my problems are in these books, because what I found in these books, I found a method for living, and I found a power greater than any human power. And we call him God. Many people call him God, but you don't have to. And there's a lot of people that have a problem with God. It's God as you understand him. And you can call him whatever you want, my creator. It doesn't really matter, just as long as it's something greater than myself, because, when I finally came in here, rendered absolutely desperate, man, just like, okay, I'll do whatever you tell me to do. I was so thankfully clear on the first step. I was definitely powerless over alcohol and all of the mind-altering substances, and there was no question in my mind that my life was unmanageable as I had been living it. There's no question in my mind, then and now. And then some of these winners were talking about the old-timers who I saw, even though I went to these meetings for a long time. They're going to these meetings, and they're talking just like I'm talking, and they're okay. And they're like enjoying life. They're not drinking. They're not getting loaded, and their lives are going well. Now, I don't know about you, but that really got my attention. It's like, how does that happen? I thought, because I figured my life was just one big hustle, so I'm just like, okay, what's the hook? And they're going, well, it's the first drink that gets you drunk. And I go, that's not the hook. That's bullshit. It was just like, there's something cooking here, and you're not letting me in on it, you bastards, you. And I wasn't listening. I was still running on Greg. But they told me stuff that I learned in this print. One of the things that's really cool, in the foreword of the 12 and 12, it says, AA's 12 steps are a group of principles, and they're spiritual in their nature, and if I practice them as a way of life, it expels the obsession to drink and enables me, the sufferer, to become happily and usefully whole. Now, that appeals to me, that appealed to me then, it appealed to me now. I mean, it was just really simple. It's like, these guys are doing, I just did what they did. It's really not that hard to figure out, My sponsor picked me up. I've had the same sponsor for 30 years. And Richard picked me up to get me a chip at this meeting. I used to go to this meeting either coming up and down off of something. And I'd fall asleep on people's shoulders and stuff. And it was just pretty bad. And I said, Rich, I don't think these people are going to believe I'm sober. Because I was there to take a 30-day chip. And I didn't think they'd believe me. And he goes, they'll believe you, son. I promise you that. You've got eyes, man, who can see you, now. And he said, let me tell you something, son. As a sober member of Alcoholics Anonymous, the sky's the limit. You can do anything you want in this program. And I'm passing on to what he told me many years ago that's the truth. What's your dream in life, Whatever your dream is, it can be achieved as a sober man or woman, and I promise you that. I can tell you that I've known dear friends of mine that were Skid Row bums that became lawyers. Skid Row bums that became television producers. My friend Tim in L.A., Tim lived in a bush for 3 years. And I was talking to him today, and he's got 3 children. He's a construction superintendent, 12 years sober, and his life is amazing. And there's plenty of miracle stories in here. You guys are no different. And anybody that's come in here before me, including myself, what I'm talking about, can have the same thing I'm having. Like I said earlier, we're all privates in this army, and everybody has the same absolute opportunity for recovery, provided you follow a few simple rules like it talks about in the doctor's opinion, and it's really not that big of a deal, at least to me. I mean, they told me, Richard said to me, he said, look, if you want because I asked him to be my sponsor, and then I asked him again when I was sober, because I asked him when I was drunk. And he says, okay, look, you just, you do what I do, you go where I go, you walk my walk. He says, you have to make your sobriety the most important thing in your life. Period. You don't drink or use no matter what. And I was so beat up. Alcohol had mangled me pretty badly. All the drugs quit working and all that other stuff. Alcohol was the only thing that I thought worked. And even that turned against me. And my life was just absolute misery. So again, it was like, okay, first off, the sky's the limit. I'm capable of doing anything anything as a sober member of Alcoholics Anonymous. Check. And I just have to do what these people tell me to do. Check. And I coupled that with the first step, man. I'm just going, okay, life's unmanageable by Greg, absolute powerlessness over alcohol. And I just did what they did. It was just that simple. I'm glad you talked about that at the earlier meeting, Jack, where anytime I have a problem with this program, because I'm an alcoholic with alcoholism. I said that earlier. And what that means is I've recovered from the physical aspect of alcoholism. I don't have that anymore. It's been a long time since I've taken a drink. But I still have the disease that rests between my ears. I have a mind-power disease. I got a disease that tells me all kinds of lies, man. I mean, I don't know about you, but have you ever been in a place where when you're in recovery, you're in treatment, and you get a job, and you're so grateful to have that job, and it's wonderful. And then about 10 days later, you start to see some of the flaws with the organizational structure. And then about 20 days later, you're going, you know what? The boss shouldn't be the boss. I should be the boss. These people are idiots, And I mean, right? And if you came in here with this thing, I bet you if you got into a treatment center, or maybe your first time in these rooms, I bet your ass had fallen off, and you were looking for glue. We do have AA glue that we'll glue it back on for you, but you're just like, oh my God, my life's an absolute mess. So something drove you here, even if it was the cops. It's like I was in a position, I wasn't living life real well, folks. And I just went, I've got to do something because my way clearly doesn't work. When you're sitting there, oh my God, trying to get a pack of smokes at a gas station convenience store, and I pissed myself, and I'm just, and there's people behind me, and I didn't care. Not normal. How about that? Not normal. Getting my last DUI and getting kicked out of jail and realizing, oh my God, you've burned every bridge, anything and everything that ever mattered to you, you are burning to the ground. And I knew that. Just like, oh my God. And the best I could do that morning was sniff out a liquor store. And my brother picked me up drunk in front on the lawn of the Santa Clarita Sheriff's Department. That's brilliant, and I'm just like, yeah, and that's the best I could do. In other words, I couldn't stop drinking on my own. Now, if you think you can stop drinking and using drugs on your own, like it talks about in the print, Alcoholic number 3, Bill and Bob told Bill D, they said, hey, if you can quit drinking on your own, we're not going to waste your time. And I'm not here to waste anybody's time. I'm here talking about my experience, my strength, and my hope as it pertains to the print. These principles of living that, when applied, expels the obsession to drink and enables me, the sufferer, to become happily and usefully whole. It's a method that's surefire. I found in these books that there's an answer for everything. Any one of my life's problems, I swear to you, if you look in the print, you would find it. Absolutely. And I don't sit there and do that to impress you or anything like that, because I'm an alcoholic with alcoholism, and I think I got some solutions up here. I think I got some damn good ideas, as a matter of fact. And the truth be told, a great definition of an alcoholic or an addict is a distorted perception of judgment. I'll say that again. A distorted perception of judgment. That means I don't see the world right, man. And why is that? Well, I'll tell you. Because it says in step 1, this is a wonderful, who cares to admit complete defeat? Oh, hi, all-time loser. Can I raise my hand to that one? No, I don't think so. Practically no one, of course. Every natural instinct cries out against the idea of personal powerlessness. In other words, I'm hardwired to go, what do you mean I'm powerless? Bullshit. I've got power. And actually we do. We just misused it. But then it says, it is truly awful to admit that, glass in hand or pipe in mouth, whatever the hell it is, man, I warped my mind into such an obsession for destructing drinking that only an act of providence could remove it from me. What's providence? This is participation time. What's providence mean? Thank you. Brilliant. There's some solid thinking right there. No, it's God. Okay? It's Rhode Island. See, and we alcoholics are serious. PhD in smartass. That's me. I've got a PhD in bullshit. And I've graduated from MSU. All of us have graduated from MSU. You know what that stands for? Making shit up. Tell me you haven't done it. Yeah, I'm a graduate of MSU. So it's telling me that I warped my mind behind drugs and alcohol. Okay, what does that mean? That means that, anybody remember, well, old folks do, but you guys that are younger, do you remember vinyl records? Have you ever seen one get warped? And you can't unwarp a warped record. It's impossible. I tried. Big, huge books or bricks or something like that. Once a record is warped, I can't unwarp it. The same thing with my mind. Now, who cares to admit that? Nobody. But I did. I had to look really hard at what the heck. I became an alcoholic, and I've got this alcoholic mind, and if I don't expose this disease, it's just going to come at me different ways. While I'm talking about the disease right now, it's finding different ways to come at me. And I know that's depressing. I talk about alcoholism, and people just go, that's not a whole lot of fun. I go, no, it's not. But you know what? It says in the print that I can't see a character defect. I can't work towards its removal until I clearly see what it is. Well, I've got a big character defect, and that would be alcoholism. And unless I really look at this thing head on, I'm just going to repeat the same patterns of behavior, the same failed relationships, the same worry, anger, fear, depression, and just like pointless living where death seems like a really good idea. And I don't know about you, but there's got to be something in you, like there was something in me going, that's not the way to live. Programmer, no. There was something inside me. Said, I got something better for you. Because after all, we read it tonight. There's 3 pertinent ideas, right? A, I'm an alcoholic and I cannot manage my own life. Check. B, that probably no human power could have relieved my alcoholism. Check. And C, that God, or this power greater than any human power, can and will if I seek Him out. Now, I don't know about you, but I was really clear on the first step. I'm like, okay, you really got me over a barrel. What the heck am I going to do? Powerlessness over alcohol. Hey, I've been a failure at life. Good for you. So, yeah, unmanageable life. I mean, I checked my track record. It didn't take long. It's just like this steady but sure descent. Just one of those. Just, yeah, you're going downhill. Yep. It's starting to, So I was real clear on that, and thank God, because I had to accept this. I had to admit this. I was powerless over alcohol. To admit something means I do it with reluctance, like you admit you shoplifted after you've been caught. Correct? Okay. So it says in this book, in this 12 and 12, in the big book, it says basically I have to admit it and then I have to accept it in my innermost self, my secret place. Where I have to be rigorously honest. Rigorously honest about what? Rigorously honest with me about who and what I really am. And it's ugly and it's really nasty, and this disease keeps going on between my ears even though I've been sober for a while. But the thing is, I'm an alcoholic with alcoholism. I can't manage my life. I tried to go to you and you and you and you, priests and everything. It says in We Agnostics, our life, basically something as marshaled by the will, my will, failed utterly. Now, if you're an alcoholic or an addict like me, then this may be making sense to you. So therefore, what am I going to do? I'm in a tough spot. But see, one kind of jumps you into 2, right? There's a power greater than me. We haven't even named this power. And that means, hey, that I am a power. I just misused it, like we were talking about earlier. That can restore me to sanity, which is defined as soundness of mind. Now, I don't know about you, but that sounded really good to me. So 1 kind of springboards me into 2. What am I going to do, man? You really got me in a tough spot. There's something bigger than me that can restore me to sanity? Yeah. Let's not even call Him God yet. And all I needed for that step is the principle of open-mindedness. A mind that's not occupied with Greg, where I'm actually listening to what you're saying rather than maybe being in a meeting. I've been in meetings where I wasn't even there. Because my mind is just talking about, how are we going to get out of this awful jam? And what about work tomorrow? Everything's going to be really messed up. And what about my wife's giving me a hard time? And I'm not even in a meeting. That's alcoholism. But I want to be restored to sanity, but I can't do it by myself. My life is unmanageable by me. I'm powerless over this stuff. There is something greater than me that can restore me to sanity, and all I need is an open mind. After all, an open mind is like, well, maybe there's some possibilities for me. Maybe this could work for me. And I had to believe it because I was looking at, how's it doing your way, Greg? Bad. So I was like, okay, let's try that. So I had an open mind toward that, and I quit fighting. I was fighting this thing. I don't want to do this. This is a bunch of, this is just like a bunch of brainwashing. It's a cult. Listening to some old fool like me up here. And I believe that because I used to hate AA, man. Trust me. I'm not like, I loved it the moment I came in. No, it was like, screw this. I don't want anything to do with it. I've got 2 words for y'all, and it ain't happy birthday. You know what I'm saying? So I felt that. I know what it feels like. But when rendered desperate, oh yes. Desperation and shame can be serious motivators. Serious motivators. Like, you know what? This thing is not working. My life is falling apart. I got to do something. These guys seem like they have a solution. I can't quit drinking by myself. What the heck am I going to do? So then after that, I looked into 3, man. I made a decision to turn my will and my life over to the care of God as I understand Him. So my will is my brain, how I think, my thought life. So you guys ever have some weird-ass thoughts that just blow your mind? If you don't, then you're really normal or you're lying. It's like, because I have some thoughts to this day, My life is rich and full today. I was telling the fellas the other day, my life is rich and full, and I was driving home from work. My life is amazing. And my mind says, you're so lonely. I was just like, and I started laughing because I could see the difference. I could see that little bugger of a disease functioning in my life, trying to come at me. You're really lonely, and your life is really not so good after all. Jeez, man. And what happened is, for a lot of years, if my mind told me that, I believed it because this was the authority for my life. So if my mind's telling me something or your mind's telling you something, it must be true, right? And then I come in here and they're going, maybe what your mind is telling you isn't true. So let's just talk about will. Everybody's trying to figure out, what's God's will? I need to figure this out. I've talked to Catholic priests that Father Terry would just they kind of let go of it and go, this thing works, and just don't figure it out. So what's God's will for me today? As I've come to really actually know, but I've been doing it a long time. But if you're new, I can tell you what God's will is for you today. Honestly. And for me, don't drink and don't take drugs. Sounds really elementary and really stupid, doesn't it? Of course it does. But it's true. It's like, when I used drugs and I drank alcohol, my life was really bad. And now I'm not doing it, my life is improving. What the hell's going on here? So I don't know what else God's will is for you because I'm not God. I tried playing it doesn't work. But I know that's one. If you're new and you're thinking about going out there and getting loaded, that's not what God wants from you. Tim talked about it. We talked about it at the 12 and 12 meeting a little while ago. There is a creator. I know that for a fact. And all he wants from me is to be happy. Honest to God, he just wants me to be happy and to be of service to you. So in other words, if I love on you and I'm being of service to you, it pleases my Father and we have a pretty good deal and he hooks me up with stuff I want. Not like Ferraris and stuff like that, but I've got a great wife. My wife is here. We've been married 22 years. Man, I was the 3-year relationship jerk. Okay? But I had to learn how to have a relationship what it meant to be in a relationship through this program of recovery. And I learned that the relationship actually began with my relationship with me. People you got to find him or her to maybe make your higher power or any of that nonsense. Because I've seen it and I did it. Okay, so I'm not just belittling anybody. I did it. And it didn't work out so well. And because I couldn't transmit something I didn't have. If I love me honestly in my heart and in my mind, and I start to go, Greg's not such a bad guy because I came in here loathing myself, then I was able to be in a meaningful relationship. And we've been married 22 years, and I love my wife dearly, warts and all. And she loves me dearly, warts and all. And that means just basically the good, bad, and the ugly. We're both in recovery, and it's an amazing road, But I had to turn my will and my life. What is my life? When I thought what my life was then was having the right job, the right motorcycle, the right girl, the house with the picket fence, 2.85 children. Everything's got to be like, okay, we're setting stuff up here, right? Are you with me, Dan? We're setting stuff up just like we need it. And then somebody moves. House of cards. And I was trying to do that for so many years and doing it my way, playing God. In other words, I never asked what God's will was for me. I'd always been telling him what it should be. And I'm not making this stuff up. This stuff's in the print. And then what happens is this power started talking to me. It says God will reveal more to you and to us. Constantly reveal more to you and to us. Constantly. So in other words, I take this print as something that's true. So God actually manifests in your life. It's just I have to put it on my radar. Something got you into a treatment center. Something greater than you. Something is another word for God as far as I'm concerned. We're not loaded right now, or at least I think, I want to believe that none of us are loaded in this room, which is completely contrary to our normal twisted behavior, right? So what is going on here? That's scientific. I'm not getting loaded and I'm okay. I mean, I don't know about you, but that still shocked the hell out of me. Still is like, I'm sober. I don't have to get loaded anymore. I mean, fundamentally, all the other stuff that I might whine and complain about, when it gets down to the rubber meets the road, I'm a sober man, and I am free from that madness. And all I have to do is maintain my spiritual condition to the best of my ability. I mean, when do I turn my will and my life over to the care of God as I understand Him? Now. Because I can't do it yesterday. That's already gone. I don't even know if I'm getting home tonight. Right? So I have no idea what's going to happen next. All I have is now. So I can do that now. I cannot drink right now and be okay right now. Because I do have you guys with me, and I have this power that I let into my life. Because what have I been doing? What have I been doing all these years? I built up a resistance to this power by my own selfish self-will, thinking I got this going on. I don't got it going on. So anytime I have problems, it's always that first step. And I'm so glad that you mentioned that, because some guys are starting to really see. Every time I got a problem with this in my life, I think my life is manageable. And I put up the barrier between me and God. No, I got this. We're good to go. And my life just doesn't go well. But I've learned how to just tune into this power and talk to Him. Like I was talking to some of my friends last week, man. We were talking about that, right, Ian? If you want something from your higher power, just ask Him. Her. It. Whatever. And it's not it's just help me. We were just talking about that at the break, me and Nate, yeah. Just all I got to do is ask Him, hey, could you help me to think to good purpose today? Because I don't know about you, but if you have a situation that comes up in your life, don't you always default to the negative? Oh, okay, here's how it's all going to fall apart, and here's how I'm just, I don't know about you, but I do that. And if I ask this power, sometimes, hey, could you help me just think to good purpose? Because, man, every time I go to me and I'm thinking about this stuff, I'm getting a bum deal. And then different thoughts come in instead of looking at something as the glass half empty. And what a piece of crap glass that is anyway, and I hate glass anyway. What is wrong with this water? Right? I mean, that's my mind. Then I can look at it and go, there is good in this world, and I just have to look for it, man. Because what I see, what is going on in between my ears and what I put out there in the world is what I get. I mean, honest to God, it's like heaven and hell are between my ears. And I'm tired of hell. So I've got an opportunity, and I've found through this program of recovery, there's so much to talk about. But through this program of recovery and through this print and applying these principles of behavior in my life, just for the day I'm in, which is today, that my life goes my life's been unaccountably transformed. And all I had to do was just be willing. And it wasn't so hard, because I go back to step one. Me trying to manage my life just was awful. And when I turn this over to a power greater than any human power, my life goes really well. And I mean, I would say that sounds like a bunch of crap, but maybe if you've been around for a while, people with time that have done this, or even people with not much time, if they lay hold of these principles, their life changes fast. I've seen guys with less than a year that were man, but they just really laid hold of these principles because they were clear on just how devastating this weakness is. I'm done with living that way. What do you guys got? I'm going to do it. Like the old timers told me, don't expect to get a lot out of this program if you don't put a lot into it. It says, man, we read it tonight. Rarely have we seen a person fail who has thoroughly followed our path. I take that stuff to heart. I'm like, because thoroughly have we seen a person fail who has rarely followed our path. It's true. I'm not trying to be a jerk. It's just that's my experience. I got choices today. I got great choices today. I'm going to just read one thing, and I got some cards up here if you guys would like them. You know, it's like this, it's a Dear God deal. It's called the so-called Merton Prayer by this guy, this monk named Thomas Merton. Read him. He's pretty amazing. Start your day off, get your God on in the morning, because otherwise I'm going to get my Greg on, and we're going to have a fucked up day, pardon my language. There we are, he's there. Okay, I'm going to read this to y'all. And then, here we go. Dear God, I have no idea where I'm going. Imagine that. I do not see the road ahead of me. I cannot know for certain where it will end, nor do I really know myself. And the fact that I think that I am following your will does not mean that I am actually doing so. It's kind of depressing, isn't it? Okay, however, here comes the good news. But I believe this. I believe that the desire to please you does in fact please you. I hope I have that desire in everything I do. I hope I never persist in anything apart from that desire. And I know that if I do this, you will lead me by the right road, though I may know nothing about it at the time. Therefore, I will trust you always. For though I may seem to be lost and in the shadow of death, I will not be afraid, because I know you will never leave me to face my troubles all alone. And I'm telling you, folks, this is no joke. This is the real deal. Try applying it in your life. What do you have to lose? Thanks for letting me share. Have a great evening, y'all.